may consider, say, for example, x square, we may consider log of x, we may consider e to the power x, or we may consider, say, x plus b, anything. So we may in general consider, say, for example, we may consider sine of x, we may consider tan of x, and so on. Okay. You might have already seen some applications, because for example we are dealing with the astronomical distances, then they are very large. So if we take log of them, then it is easy to look at them. Similarly, if we are dealing certain numbers or certain measurements on microscopic scale, then it is better if we raise it to certain power. So for example, we may put a to the power x or e to the power x, etc. And similarly, there can be many other kind of applications. So, for example, if you have a periodicity, so we may like to consider, say, sine function or cosine function, etc. So one thing is that we can consider the original distribution and then we study from there the properties. The second thing is that we can look at the distribution of the transformed random variable itself. Okay. So there can be several things. So in general, first of all, if x is a random variable, then what is the property? X is a real valued function defined on the sample space with certain characteristic which we call measurability. So if I am considering x square, then x square is also a function defined on the sample space. It is real valued as well as it will satisfy the property of the measurability. Hello? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
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 sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have the first result that uh, so suppose on omega bp we define x as a random variable and let g be a function from R to R measurable function. Okay. Then gx is also a random variable. Okay, we can call it y, for example. So of course proof is a very simple one line proof only with little bit technicality of the measurability condition. So I will not get into that because you have not done a course on the measure theory. So the question comes that if the distribution of x is known, then from there we can determine the distribution of gx. So let me state it in the form of a theorem first. Given a random variable x with CDF fx, the distribution of random variable y is equal to gx. Can be determined. So let me give the construction here. Of course, it is straightforward. So the CDF of y that is the probability of y less than or equal to y. It is the probability of gx less than or equal to y. That is probability that x belongs to g inverse minus infinity to y. That is the inverse image of the set. That is the interval minus infinity to y. So if g is a measurable function, the set g inverse minus infinity to y is measurable, and so this term is well defined because the distribution of x is known. So the probability of x belonging to any measurable set is well defined. So therefore the cumulative distribution function of y can be found. I will illustrate with certain simple examples. Basically, this is the concept that I just wanted to illustrate. So let us consider, say, let x be, yes.
So I have a doubt. So here are we considering g as an increasing function?
So I have not said it is to be an increasing function. I am saying it is any measurable function. If it is increasing, then of course the inverse set is much easier to describe. If it is decreasing, then also it is easier to describe. But if it is a general measurable function, then also the inverse image. So theoretically it can be determined. Practically how difficult it is, that we will see, okay, through the examples.
Okay, sir.
Because if the function is implicit function, then it will be quite complicated. If it is a explicit function, then it may be easy, okay. So what I am just saying is that I am giving a rule here that it can be determined. Whether you can always do it or not, that is a different matter. But theoretically speaking, yes, it can be done. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, shall I move? So let me define some functions. So for example, y is equal to ax plus b. Suppose a is not 0 and b is any real number. Let me define, say, several functions I will talk about. Let us take, say, y2 is equal to mod x. Say I take y3 is equal to, say, x square. Say y4 is equal to say log of x. Okay, y5 is equal to e to the power x. Let me define, say, y6 is equal to maximum of x and 0. So just I am writing certain functions. Let us see how this construction can work. Okay. So let us look at the CDF of say y1. So that is the probability of ax plus b less than or equal to y. Okay. If you want, you can put y1 here just to distinguish. Now suppose I take a to be positive. Okay, then this is same as x less than or equal to y1 minus b by a. Okay. So this is nothing but f of y1 minus b by a. Since capital Fx is known, therefore Fy1 is also known now. Is this clear example? That is G inverse minus infinity to y I have written. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Good morning, Dr. Kumar. Yeah, actually I'm in a class, so can you call just after that? Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So is this clear?
Yes, sir.
If a is negative, then this will become probability x greater than or equal to y1 minus b by a. This thing, it will become probability of x, because if a is negative, the sign will change here. So then this we can write as 1 minus probability x less than y1 minus b by a. So we can put less than or equal to, and then we can add probability x is equal to y1 minus b by a. So this is equal to 1 minus f of y1 minus b by a plus probability of x is equal to y1 minus b. So if a is negative, then also this can be determined. So is this usage of the inverse function clear? I am not getting any response. Is it okay or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please respond
Yes, sir.
quickly, otherwise I have to wait. Let us look at y2, say. Okay. You should respond fast so that I can proceed. So again, I have brought it to the inverse image of the set minus infinity to y2. That is basically minus y2 to y2 closed interval. So this you can write as probability of x less than or equal to y2 minus probability of x less than minus y2. So again, I can put less than or equal to, and then I can add the probability of x is equal to minus y2. So this is f of y2 minus f of minus y2 plus probability x is equal to minus y2. See, note here that I am talking about mod of x less than or equal to y2. So this y2 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Otherwise, if y2 is negative, then this probability will be 0. So we should write it like this, that this is so if y2 is greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 if y2 is less than 0. So we have to also see the range of the variable that we are defining. Okay. y2 is mod of x, therefore it is a non-negative random variable. Therefore, if y2 small y2 is negative, then this CDF will be always 0. If y2 is greater than or equal to 0, then of course you get this value. In fact, if y2 is equal to 0, then this is simply probability of x is equal to 0. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let us look at the third one. So CDF of x square, that is probability of y3 is less than or equal to y3, that is probability of x square less than or equal to y3. That is the probability minus square root y3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to y3. Once again, since x square is a non-negative quantity, this is valid for y3 positive. So this is nothing but fx of y square root of y3 minus fx of minus square root y3 plus probability x is equal to minus square root of y3. This is for y3 positive and it is 0 for y3. Let us put greater than or equal to 0. And for y3 negative, this is 0. So is this example clear?
Yes, sir.
If x is a positive random variable, let y4 be equal to log of x. Okay, because logarithmic is defined for a positive random variable only. So what is the CDF? So that is equal to probability of x less than or equal to e to the power y4. So like that you can work out the other examples also. Okay. This I am leaving as exercise for you. Let us consider separately the cases of the discrete and continuous random variables. So in case x is a discrete random variable, so suppose the function g, it is mapping the set x1, x2 and so on to the set y1, y2 and so on. Okay. It need not be a one-to-one function. It can be many one function or whatever. But if you are having probability of y is equal to yj, that is probability of gx is equal to yj, then it is possible that some number of values of x is equal to xi such that g of xi is equal to yj. So you will sum the probability mass function over those values of xi which will lead to yj. So the probability mass function of y can be calculated easily. Let me take some example here. Suppose I consider px minus 2 is equal to say 1 by 5, px minus 1 is say 1 by 6, px0 is equal to 1 by 5, px1 is equal to 1 by 15, px2 is equal to 11 by 30. Okay. Suppose x is a discrete random variable with this probability mass function, and suppose I take y is equal to, say for example, x square. So what are the possible values of x square? X is taking values 0, so x square will be 0. Then it is taking values minus 1 and 1, so x square can be 1. And then it is taking values minus 2 and plus 2, so it will become 4. So what is the probability of y is equal to 0? There is only one inverse image, so that is probability of x equal to 0, that is 1 by 5. What is the probability that x is equal to, sorry, what is the probability that y is equal to say 1? That is the probability that x equal to minus 1 plus probability x equal to plus 1. So x equal to minus 1 is 1 by 6 and x equal to plus 1 is 1 by 15. So if you add that, you will get 7 by 30. Similarly, what is the probability of y is equal to 4? That is probability x equal to minus 2 plus probability of x equal to plus 2. So 1 by 6 plus 11 by 30, that will become, so you can just add it here, 1 by 5, and so that is 17 by 30. So this is the probability mass function of a discrete random variable. Now in the case of continuous random variable, you cannot proceed like that. So because there is a density, there is not a probability. So what we do, we look at the corresponding CDF and we have the following result. Suppose y is a differentiable function So suppose g prime x is either positive for all x or negative for all x. You understand the meaning of positive for all x or derivative negative for all x? That means it is either increasing function or decreasing function. So somebody was asking this question. So I am now giving the one result which is specifically for the continuous random variable and an increasing or decreasing function of that. Okay. And the PDF is given by fx of g inverse y multiplied by the derivative of the g inverse y function. the range of y as you know that the probability density function is defined over an interval. So the range of gx will be determined by that. So for example, if x is from -1 to 1 and I define y is equal to x square, then the range will be from 0 to 1. Of course, x square is neither completely increasing nor completely decreasing, but I will take about that a little later. Suppose I consider directly x cube, then if x is -1 to 1, then x cube will also be from -1 to 1. First of all, let me prove this result here. Is the statement clear? Can you follow the statement?
Yes, sir.
So let us take, say, for example, g prime x is greater than 0. Okay, for all x. Then it means that g is strictly increasing. So if it is increasing, then it is a one-to-one function. Okay. That is 1 on 2. Okay. And so G inverse is also so the derivative of G inverse will also be positive. Okay. So let us consider now the CDF of Y. That is the probability of Gx less than or equal to Y. Since it is a strictly increasing function, therefore the range is equivalent to -infinity to G inverse Y. So this was one of the questions when I started, somebody asked. So if it is increasing function, then the inverse set can be immediately obtained like that. That is fx of G inverse Y. So the CDF of an strictly increasing function of a continuous random variable can be written immediately. If that is so, the PDF is obtained by differentiation so you will get a small fx of G inverse Y into d by dy of G inverse Y. Since G of inverse Y is positive, therefore it is mod of that is the same value. Okay. In case G is strictly decreasing, G inverse Y d by dy, this will become negative. Okay. So this fx fyy, that is the probability of gx less than or equal to y, that will become probability of x greater than or equal to g inverse y. Because if g is decreasing, then it will become greater than or equal to, the sign will change, which is same as 1 minus f of g inverse y plus probability of x is equal to g inverse y. But this term is 0 because it is a continuous random variable, so we don't have to write it. So the PDF is fy, that is minus of fx of g inverse y into d by dy g inverse y. But d by dy of g inverse y is negative, so minus of this is mod. So I can write it as f of g inverse y into mod of d by dy g inverse y. So this is a quick method that in the case of continuous random variable, how to determine the density function of a given random variable. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So let me just illustrate it with some simple examples. Okay, suppose I say that x has a Weibull distribution. So what was the density of a Weibull distribution? Do you remember? Do you remember the density of a Weibull distribution? It was alpha beta x to the power beta minus 1 e to the power minus alpha x to the power beta. So let us put some values here. Suppose I put alpha is equal to 3 and say I put beta is equal to 2. Okay. So if I do that, then this is nothing but 6x e to the power minus 3x square. Okay. And I define a function. Let y be equal to x square. Okay. Suppose y is equal to x square. Okay. So this is a gx function. This is gx. Okay. So in fact, you can write down the inverse function. I just made a mistake here. I wanted to take beta is equal to 2 and alpha is equal to 3. I just put reverse here. Beta is equal to 3, alpha is equal to 2. So this will become 6. Yeah, sorry, this is x square here. This is square and this is 2x cube. Yeah, just I wrote in the reverse way. Okay, so what is your x? This will become y to the power 1 by 3. So what is dx by dy? That is 1 by 3 y to the power minus 2 by 3. That is d by dy of g inverse y. So what is the PDF of? So this is a strictly increasing function. So the PDF of y is that is equal to, what is the formula here? You have to write fx of g inverse y and multiply by this derivative. So in the function 6x square, so x is y to the power, x is y to the power 1 by 3, so it becomes y to the power 2 by 3, e to the power minus 2y, and then multiply by 1 by 3 y to the power minus 2 by 3. And again the range you have to write y is positive. So this, if you simplify, it becomes 2e to the power minus 2y. You look at this from a Weibull distribution. If I define the function y is equal to x cube, I am getting exponential distribution. Okay. Is this calculation clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let me take another example. Suppose I take u is equal to e to the power minus 2y. Okay, that means my u function is e to the power minus 2y. So if I take the inverse image, of course I can do directly also. What is du by dy? That is minus 2e to the power minus 2y. Okay, so what is the distribution of u? It will become 1, and if y is positive, u will be between 0 and 1. Is that clear? From a Weibull distribution, I can define a function which gives me exponential distribution. From exponential distribution, I can define a function which gives me a uniform distribution. And I can do the reverse also. From uniform distribution, see if I see what is this giving you? If I define y is equal to minus 1 by 2 log of u, then this will have exponential distribution. From here, if I define minus 1 by 2 log of y to the power 1 by 3, then that will give me Weibull distribution. It gives you some hint actually. What is the hint? That actually all the continuous distributions are related with each other. All the continuous distributions, they are related with each other. So this result, which connects all the continuous distributions, this is a very interesting result, and I'll just give it here. It is known as let x be a continuous random variable with CDF So here I put capital X in place of a small x. If I put capital X, then you know that the CDF is an increasing function. It's a non-decreasing function. So this is well defined. In fact, if x is a continuous random variable, then over the range of the random variable, this will be strictly increasing. Then y has a uniform distribution on the interval 0 to 1. Okay. Conversely, if y has uniform 0, 1 distribution and f is a CDF of a continuous random variable, then x is equal to f inverse y has a CDF f. So this very simple looking statement actually is the basis of all stochastic simulations actually. So nowadays we talk about simulations in all the branches of science and engineering. Everywhere we do simulations. So basically the simulation has the origin here, because whatever you want to simulate, any kind of variable, it is having some distribution. Okay. Now it is difficult to generate an algorithm for any kind of distribution. So therefore what we do that in computer science, very efficient algorithms are available for generation of uniform random numbers. So probably you have already done the course like programming and data structure and some other courses where you know about important algorithms. Can you name any of them? I think here there are many students from computer science department. So can you name any efficient algorithm which is used for generating uniform random numbers? Any student? Hello, is there any student from computer science? Can you hear me?
We directly use a function called random.
Yeah, so that is based on what algorithm? That is because that anybody can use. Okay, so if you are a student of computer science, you should know the algorithm also, that which algorithm gives that. That function is written using what? Anybody has idea? So if you can generate uniform random numbers, you divide by the upper limit. For example, if it is a 2 to the power 32, I mean, if it is a 32-bit machine or if it is a 64-bit machine, you divide by the upper bound, that is 2 to the power 64. So the numbers will convert to the range 0 to 1. And then you apply this transformation F inverse that gives you, so for example, you want to generate exponential random variables. So it will, you put a direct transformation minus half log of y. So that will give me exponential. Suppose we want to generate gamma. So there are various algorithms which will shift from each of them. This kind of things are there. So anyway, it is good to learn these things, because if you are doing engineering or science, anything, you will be definitely doing a lot of simulations. Okay. I'll end today's class with one important comment. The comment is that every function need not be totally increasing or decreasing. It can be partially increasing or decreasing. For example, even if I consider x square, so x square firstly decreases and then increases. Even a function like mod x and so on. So the result that I have told, it is applicable only to the increasing function or decreasing function. So if I have a function like x square, what we do, we divide it into two parts, and in each part we calculate the density by applying the same formula and add the two. That gives the result for the general function. So for example, if I have a sine function which is a periodic, so it increases, then again it decreases, and so on. So you can add in all the infinite number of regions. So I'll just state result here without going into the proof of this. So suppose we are considering G inverse Y has K values. So there are K inverse images. Okay. So if that is so, let us put I is equal to 1 to K kind of thing. So you calculate the density in each region and add it up. So in the next class, I will give some examples of these kind of situations, and then we will move to jointly distributed random variables. Today I will, yeah. What is the question?
There was a question yesterday in the paper. Like, could you discuss that? Like, I'll just copy paste the question in the chat box.
Okay, show me.
Yes, sir, just a minute. Sir, I guess it did not copy paste properly, but I can I will read it out. A coin with probability of head 0.3 is tossed independently in a sequence. The first head is observed on the fifth toss. The coin is tossed further 5 times. Find the probability that there will be that three heads will be observed in the total 10 trials.
So just let me see the problem.
Yes, sir.
a coin is tossed with the probability of head 0.3 is tossed in a sequence. You are asking this question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the first head is observed on the 5th toss. The coin is tossed further 5 times. Find the probability that 3 heads will be observed in these total 10 trials. Okay. Okay, so first head is in the 5th toss. That means the first 4 are failures, and then the 5th one is a success. And then you are saying that next 5, it will have 2 heads.
Yes, sir.
So
Sir?
there you will apply binomial. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So like in this we are saying like in the 5th position we are observing first head. So the probability like it's a sure event. Like in the 5th position we will definitely observe 1 head, right? So it's a conditional
That is
probability.
given. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
accordingly,
Right.
the answer, accordingly, like if we do like that, the answer will be 0.309. But the answer from the that has been shared is 0.0222. Like they have considered the
What is your answer? What is your answer?
0.309, sir.
So like it's 5c2 into 0.3 ki power 2 into 0.7 ki power 3. The probability.
The probability of getting 3 heads.
Yes.
But
After
I guess
10
like
trials.
yes, sir. But I guess what
So it's quite a controversial statement because if we read the first line that it has been like it is a sure event, but we read the last line, then it is telling the way like 4 are lose, then 5th is won, then we have to arrange 2 win in five chances. Like
Means
it is.
it's a conditional probability question, and in the answer they considered means they considered.
Yeah. So like there are two like what we have to do is that we have to do probability of like the probability of 5 heads occurring in the 2 heads occurring in the next 5 trials, given that 5th head has already occurred in the 5th trial. That is what like I have interpreted from the question. But the answer that has been given is what they did is they multiplied with the probability that a 5th head occurred in the first 5 trials. Like they have not considered it as it is observed in the first 5 trials.
Anyway, I can check easily the answer. That's not a difficult problem at all. So
Yes.
I'll just check it. Okay. So I don't know what is the answer that has been
According
put up
to
there.
you,
That I will
what's the
check.
solution?
So this should be, I think, they are independent. So if it is conditional probability, then the previous history will not matter. So 5c2 0.3 square into 0.7 cube. That is what my thing should be. Yeah. Let's see. So you are saying can you just send it an email to one of us? Okay, just
Yes,
send
sir.
that.
Like that should be the answer. Like the answer given is wrong. Like what you're telling is the answer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe there is some error there. Okay, fine. We have not yet evaluated. Actually, we have circulated for comments. So evaluation has not been done. We will just check everybody's answer and then we will see that. Okay.
Okay.
Can somebody just send it in email or something?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one more question if you could look at it.
Yeah.
Let the CDF of a random variable x be